With this tutorial, I can bet that you would say that you never knew that an off-shoulder bustier blouse is this easy, because this is so detailed and in-depth yet beginner-friendly. Hi socialites, and welcome to yet another interesting and beautiful tutorial. So in today's one, as you can see on your screen, I'm going to be showing you how to pattern draft, cut and sew an off-shoulder bustier blouse. This tutorial is so in-depth and detailed that even as a beginner, you are going to comprehend every single step involved in the making of an off-shoulder bustier blouse. If this is the one you're interested in, which I'm very sure you are, please sit right back, relax and enjoy watching as I take you through the journey of making your off-shoulder bustier blouse. So as it is required, the first thing to do is to mark out all the body vertical measurements. Those are the measurements from the shoulder downwards, which includes the armhole, the breast point, the underbust, and so on. So I begin with the breast point measurements, which is 10.5, the underbust, which is 14 inches, the half waist, which is 17 inches, and then of course the total blouse length, which I'm going to be using the whole of the pattern paper length for. So I mark that at the middle and also at the other end of the pattern paper, after which I have all those vertical measurements connected with horizontal lines, just like so, from the breast point all the way down. So all these are the vertical measurements being connected together. And here we have the breast point, the underbust, the half waist, and of course the blouse length. And we still have the armhole and the upper chest to mark out at the upper part. To have the upper chest line and the armhole length marked out, one, it depends on the type of neckline. Okay, you know, we have the sweetheart neckline, the straight neckline, and all that. Okay, so it depends on the kind of neckline that you want. So for me, I'm going to be using a straight neckline, just as you can see me on the screen wearing. That doesn't mean that if your choice of neckline is different from the straight one, that you can't make use of this. You can, but this is like the basic. So for that reason, I'm going to be using an upper chest line of about 6.5 inches. Okay, in case you don't know how to go about getting your upper chest line length, one of the things you need to measure is the distance from the breast point to the underbust. This gave me 4 inches. So from the breast point, I measure the same 4 inches upwards. So that is the length of the across chest. So if I measure from up, it will still give me 6.5 inches to this point. Okay, you can use lower than that, but that solely depends on the length of the breast points that you're using. So if the breast point is up to like 11 or 12, then you should use like up to 7 to 7.5 inches for the upper chest line. Next is the armhole length, and for the armhole length, I'm going to be using 8.5 inches for the length of the armhole, and the armhole comes right under the upper chest line. So for the armhole length, I'm going to be using 8.5 inches, which is exactly what you can see me mark out. So I have that marked out, and I also have it connected horizontally. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to get the breast distance measurement and divide that by 2. And that measurement is going to start from the breast point. So from the center fold area of the pattern paper and at the breast point, I mark out that breast distance measurement divided by 2, which is going to be acting as our dart line. So I have that marked out, and I have that connected horizontally all the way to the blouse length. So at the underbust area, I'm going to be marking 1 inch between the dart line, and then at the blouse length, I also mark ½ inch between the dart line, and I'm going to be connecting that horizontally downwards like so. So from the underbust down to the blouse length, I have the 1 inch connected to the ½ inch, and I'm going to be connecting from the underbust to the breast point, and this is our bustier formation ongoing. The dart line is not meant to stop at the breast point, it's meant to go up. So to do that, we know we use 3.5 inches for the dart line, but at this upper chest area, we're going to be using 4 inches. That is, we are going to be adding ½ inch to the 3.5 inches that we already have. So from the center fold, I mark 4 inches, and I'm going to be connecting back to the breast point line. That's our dart line. I connect it back to the breast point like so. So between this dart line at the upper chest area, I'm going to be marking 3/4 of an inch between the dart line. So 3/4 on this side, 3/4 on that side, and I'm going to be connecting back to the breast point. So like I said, this is still our bustier, still ongoing. Okay, so I have those lines connected, and afterwards I'm going to be marking the across chest width. You know, this is called an off-shoulder blouse or dress. So with that, we are going to be assuming there is no shoulder. That is why it's called an off-shoulder. So I'm going to be using the across chest measurement, which is 13 inches divided by 2 will give me 6.5 inches. So I have that marked out, and I'm going to be replacing this, what we are going to be taking out from here, which is 1.5 inches. So I add that to the across chest width, and I'm going to be connecting to the armhole. So to have that connected, I'm going to be dividing the bust measurement by 4. So whatever that gives me, I have that marked out, and I'm going to be replacing whatever I'm going to be taking out from the dart. So with that, I have the armhole connected, just as you can see me do. Next, I'm going to be dividing all the other body circumference measurement divided by 4. So for the under bust strand, I divide by 4, whatever that gives me, I marked out, and I'm going to be replacing the dart of 2 inches. I come down to the half waist, I divide the waist measurement by 4, and I have that marked, and I'm going to be replacing the dart as well. So I measure the dart, and I have that added to the waist measurement, just like I did to the under bust. And I come down to the blouse length measurement, I divide the hip measurement by 4. I also have that marked out, and I also have the dart allowance also replaced as well. So at the blouse length, after I've marked out the hip measurement, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inch. This is to give us a curve at the lower part of the blouse length, as at the side of the lower part of the blouse length. So I come up by 1.5 inches, and I'm going to be connecting those body measurements from the armhole down to the blouse length, just as you can see me do. And with this, we have our side connection for the body measurements connected. So for the curve at the down, from the 1.5, I curve down close to the dart line like so. At the breast point line, I'm going to be coming down by 1.5 inch, and that is because the half waist of the front and back are not the same. The front is 1.5 inch longer than the back. So at the breast point line, I come down by 1.5 inch, and I'm going to be connecting that back to the dart line at the breast point, just like so. And with this, I have all these points as my darts that I'm going to be taking out. So with this, our front pattern is almost ready, except for the breast dart that we're still going to be working on. And talking about the breast dart being worked on, what I mean is I'm going to be cutting this dart open so that I can fold it, but I can't do that now until I separate the front from the back. Okay, and to draft out the back pattern, I have to draw out this straight line. So for the back pattern drafting, I'm not going to be using the upper chest area. I'm only going to be extending the armhole length, because we do not need the upper chest area at the back. The armhole length is already long enough at the back, unless you want to achieve something else at the back. Okay, so we are going to be totally ignoring the upper chest line as one of the vertical measurements at the back. So to proceed with that, we'll just extend this our armhole horizontally like so. Another vertical measurement to alter at the back is the half waist length. So for the half waist length of the front, we said it is 1.5 inches longer than the back. So to make that equal, from the half waist length that we marked initially, we come up by 1.5 inch. Remember the 1.5 inches we used at the breast dart, so we have that marked out at the back. So this is going to be our half waist for the front, and then here are the half waist for the back. So eventually we are going to be taking this out, and because this is the back, we are going to be marking out first of all as zipper allowance. So I used 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance all the way down. So this is zipper allowance, and I have that connected vertically like so. So here is our zipper allowance, and next is the dart line. So for the dart line, remember we used 3.5 inches for the front as the dart line. That is the breast distance measurement divided by 2. So we are going to be using the same as the dart line for the back. So I have that marked all the way to the blouse length, and I have that connected with the straight line. So I'm going to be separating the front from the back so that I can fold whatever I need to fold. So for this one, I'm going to be folding it over like so. Like I said, we are going to be taking out that 1.5 inches. So I have it folded and have it held down with the help of a tape so that we can proceed with our drafting. Reason being that the half waist of the front is longer than that of the back. So after this, at the dart line, I'm going to be marking half inch between the dart lines. So I mark the half inch on this side and then on this side, and I'm going to be connecting upwards and downwards like so. So from the half waist, I connect up to give me my dart like so, and then downwards as well, just like this. Next is to input all our body circumference measurement divided by 4. So the bust divided by 4, I have that divided, and I have that marked out at this point. And next, I come down to the under bust. I divide the under bust round measurement by 4. I have that marked. I have our dart replaced, so I have that measured, and I'm going to be replacing that. Next is the waist measurement divided by 4. I have that marked out and also measure the dart, and I also have the dart replaced at the half waist area. And then coming down to the blouse length, I divide the hip measurement by 4, and I have that marked out. There is no dart to replace at this point. So like we did to the front, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inch. That's for the curve at the lower side part of the blouse, and I'm going to be connecting the sides just like so. So this is what the side connection for the back looks like, and then for the curve, this is what we have. So to eliminate any form of zipper bulge at the back, very important, at the half waist area, I'm going to be coming inward by half an inch or 3/4, depending on how deep the core of the person is. I'm going to be doing that to the two sides of the zipper allowance, and I'm going to be connecting upwards and downwards just like so. So for this, we connect like this, and downwards as well, and then for the other side we do the same. So automatically, as zipper allowance, it's no longer straight, it's now curvy like so, not longer the straight one. So with this, you have our front and back pattern, but we still have the breast darts to cut out at the front. So to do that, I'm going to be slashing through this point so that I can fold over the breast dart. So in folding it, this is what I'm going to be doing. So I just have this part placed over the other one like so, and I'm going to be holding it down with the help of a paper tape. A quick reminder, guys, if you haven't subscribed at this point, please do well by hitting the subscribe button. So we are going to be reshaping the side. Just as you can see, it's no longer the same, so I get my spatula and then I have that straightened out, just as you can see. And with this, our patterns are ready for cutting. So we are ready to cut now, both on the front and back pattern. So we begin by cutting out the off shoulder or the shoulder area like so, and then this is the side cutting, and then here the armhole, and then of course the curve at the side of the blouse, and then we proceed to the cutting of the bustier area of the blouse. At this point, please be very careful so that you make sure you cut the right thing. Okay, so this is the bustier area cutting, and at the end of the day, this is what we have as our front pattern. We proceed to cut in the back. So this is the side cutting of the back, just like we did to the front, and then this is the upper chest area of the back is straight, and then the curvy area of the side. And for the zipper allowance, like we said, it's no longer straight, so this is what it should look like. So with this, you have our front, and then we have our back patterns ready to be used to cut on our fabric. And for the fabric, I'm going to be using this colorful fabric. So I placed my pattern on my fabric and I have it pinned down. So for the allowances at this side, I'm adding ½ inch at the front, that is towards the center of the front. I have that added as ½ inch, and at the upper part I add ½ inch. At the lower part, I'm adding 1 inch at the lower part of the pattern paper, and of course at the side I added the same allowance of 1.5 inches, and I have that connected as well. So all these same allowances areas are the part I'm going to be cutting along for the fabric. So I'm going to be repeating the same process for all the parts of the pattern. So just watch carefully and watch where I added the seam allowances and how much seam allowances I have added to every part. Okay. So at the end of the cutting, this is what we have. So I'm taking out the pattern paper, so this is what we have left. So the next thing, I'm going to be using this to cut the interfacing, and after the cutting of the interfacing, this is what we have. I reduced the length of the interfacing by ½ inch, and I'm going to be putting stay on this. The interfacing for this is thick, so I'm not going to be putting stay on the interfacing. I'm going to be putting stay on just the main fabric because this is quite thick, and that is enough to handle the stress. So these are the fabrics after ironing stay on it. For the front, I used stay and then the wording for the bust area, and then for the other part, I just used only the stay. So after this is what they look like, and the next thing, I'm going to be stitching the fronts together. That's the part of the front together. And for the stitching of the front, I just get this, that's the side to the center, and I stitch along like so. So at this point, you just need to be very careful. You stitch along. That's how I'm going to be stitching the 3 parts together. And then for the back, I fold into 2 legs, so, and then I'm going to be stitching the dart line just as I marked out in the pattern paper. That's what I'm going to be stitching. So afterwards, this is what it looks like. That's for the back, and I had to notch at the deepest part of the dart stitching. So this is what it looks like. So I open it up and you can see. So I have to iron it out so that it can really relax very well. So this is what we have for the back. So after stitching of the front, that's the 3 pieces of the front together, this is what it looks like. And you see how the bust area is already taking formation, even without ironing and all that. You can see how beautiful and shaped is already looking. So this is what yours should turn out looking like. And for the inside, I'm going to be notching the curved or the bust area all the way to the under bust, and then I'm going to be opening up the seam and then have it ironed all the way down. Sorry about the center that I had to join together. That's because while I was cutting I made a mistake. That's why the center has a joining. Okay, so I'm going to be opening it up with a pressing iron, and after opening up all the seams at the front with a pressing iron, this is what it looks like. You can see that it is taking more shape and looking more beautiful. So for the back, I also have it ironed, and this is what it looks like. This is the interfacing for the front. I also have everything I did to the main bodies done to the interfacing, both the front and the back. And next it's time to stitch the interfacing to the main body. So to do that, I turn to the down part of the fabric and then I place the interfacing on it, and I'm going to be stitching using 1/2 inch. That's for the front, and then for the back as well I do the same thing. So after the stitching at the down part using 1/2 inch, this is what it looks like. So I turn to the side, and you can remember we reduced the interfacing by 1/2 inch, so I have to pull it up, and by the time I pull it up you can see what the lower part of the blouse is looking like. So it has to be turned up like so to stitch. But before we stitch the side, we have to stitch the neckline area. So because I use a straight line neckline, I'm just going to be stitching it straight like so. Okay, so after stitching, this is what it looks like. I stitch all around, even the sides, but I left an opening where I can turn it inside out, which is this part. So I'm going to be turning it inside out from this opening. And in the turning out of the front, please be very careful so that you don't distort the bustier area of the front. Okay, so be very calm, don't rush. So after turning, this is what it looks like. I've not yet ironed it, but this is what we have. I'm going to be ironing it shortly. So after the turning of the front, I proceed to the turning of the back. We also stitch the back around, leaving an opening where I can turn it inside out. So I did the same thing. I turned it inside out, and this is what we have yet to be ironed as well. So I'm going to be ironing both the front and the back shortly, and then I'm going to be showing you. So for the zipper allowance, I'm going to be notching it and then have it ironed out so that I can have the shape, the curved shape that I have at the zipper allowance to eliminate zipper bulge. So after the ironing of the front, this is what it came out looking like. You can see how perfect and beautiful this is already looking. Can you see the bust area? Like it's giving what it's supposed to give at the bust area. And then for the back, after ironing out the zipper allowance, you can see we have our curved shape at the back already ironed out. That's because we're able to notch the center part of the back so that it gives us that curvy effect that we want. Okay, so we are just going to be attaching the zipper at the back and then stitch the side of the front to the side of the back using our body measurements. And guys, that's basically all. And at the end, this is how beautiful, how fitted our off shoulder bustier came out looking like. I'm sure you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. Thank you guys for watching, and I can't wait to see you in my very next tutorial. Bye.